in this shit of it. We are
We're
ready for
getting
this.
it.
We're ready for this. Boom! Yeah, it's time for discussing tabletop. Boom, 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 boom,
This is
boom. That's more energy than I have like in the course of the entire week.
Expended all of your energy on that. Good
Hi,
luck
everybody.
tomorrow, Dantis.
Oh God! Look, tomorrow I get to accompany my family after my niece opens up a whole lot of gifts because she's probably the only one that's really going to open up gifts tomorrow. Gonna be honest. There are probably some gifts for the rest of the family, but we're just gonna be like, oh yay, it's this thing that we were expecting. Good, excellent. You know, she'll be really excited. Then we get to go to my grandfather's place and just have food, and I don't have to do jack diddly there except
You'll pass out when you get home.
I can just pass out when I get home. At most, maybe I'll help transport some stuff from my aunt's house, which is a couple doors down, to my grandfather's. If I get way late into that and I can't hide. But anyway, it's December 24th. It's it's Christmas Eve if you celebrate. If you don't, it's just the holiday season.
It's Christmas Eve. Yeah, you know, also just one of the days of Hanukkah currently. Or it's Saturday.
I don't know these things because I don't know anything. If you don't give, because the date always changes for Hanukkah, so I never remember.
Yeah, Christmas falls within Hanukkah this year, which happens sometimes.
I figured that, but again, with changing calendars, dumb me's not going to remember that stuff. People have to tell me, and I'll be like, "Oh, that's neat."
Hebrew calendar is very different than the one the Catholics forced upon the world.
They did.
Weird.
Thanks, Catholicism. Or not. Really not.
Thanks, Pope.
Really not. Anyway.
fair. It goes back to we would have 10 months on the calendar if it weren't for Roman emperors having
Just use the
egos.
French calendar
Can't we
where
just... Oh, you mean we'd have like an even number of months that would be logical and almost make sense?
we could just use the decimal calendar that the French made, because obviously Napoleon had a lot of great ideas.
Look, I'm not saying there's any great calendars out there. I don't think anybody's
They're all
saying that.
pretty shit.
They're all pretty shit. But I'm also going to say... I don't know what I'm going to say. Anyway, hi, welcome. We've tangented in a weird way in this entire beginning
It's
of
a
this
weird
episode.
day, you know. It's been a weird day.
Time and it's strange. It's strange.
Look, man, it's no worse than like anything that happened in Wrath, man.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know,
Can't get weirder than those
I
conversations.
just, if I just summarize Wrath to someone, I just don't know how I can to make it sound sane.
I mean, I wasn't conscious for like half of that game. So you know.
Crawled inside a giant mechanical dragon built on the bones of a super ancient dragon. Decided to animate said bones using necromantic rituals. Didn't do it very accurately. Created some kind of horrible cybernetic Draco Lich that had no longer had the consciousness of the machine, but the consciousness of the dragon that once existed on it. Which means that no longer it's just a machine, but now a dragon that has all of its magical powers and the machine body. You basically gave Mechagodzilla magic.
Yeah, it's how cool's dad.
That happened in Wrath. That entire statement happened in Wrath. Anyway, now my niece is upset about something. Probably because she was being hyperactive. Or Wrath. Alright, we're going to talk about D&D 1 and an open game license, because there have been weird issues about it, and they've had a nice statement about it, and then they did announce some stuff on upcoming next year for D&D. I knew they announced it.
I couldn't fucking find it.
They don't tell it anywhere. I had to go look on like other news sites to find out what the hell they announced, because guess what they don't do? Put it up on their website ever.
I think it's on D&D Beyond somewhere.
D&D Beyond is impossible to navigate unless you actually like have a subscription, it seems like.
No, yeah, it's not a great website because it's not meant for news.
Yeah, it's meant to be a way to funnel you into paying more money.
Yeah,
that's true.
Give them some money.
Technically speaking.
Then we'll talk about the digital Munchkin, which has been in its early access, which I didn't even realize, because again, this is Steve Jackson Games has been having some issues with their website, you know, for like a month now.
Jack games.
So, yes, they announced they've got their Munchkin digital in early access, but I also want to talk about Direwolf because I'd seen them at PAX Unplugged, and they've had a lot of other games that they're working on, a bunch of these digital games. So we'll talk about that, and then I'll come up with a deeper discussion topic. But let's be angry first. Hey,
yeah, get the anger
D&D 1 and the open game license. Do you want to start with the open game license part about it, the D&D 1 part about it? I mean,
feel like the open games license is the most important part. Also, we don't really know what's in it.
You see, the open game licenses, they first they said they were going to have one,
Yeah.
and then like the thing is, people were okay with that until they started sending out, just some of their words when their original statement didn't sound good. So there was some worry, but people were kind of neutral about it, and people were like, what does this mean? Asking questions. So the first thing they did before they released a public statement was go to creators individually and say, hey, we're going to tell you about what this is. Sign this non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah.
Which is not a good sign.
I mean, it's pretty standard procedure, but it's not a good look.
Well, when they're like, we're going to reveal information that's reassuring to you. Like, when I hear non-disclosure agreement, that means, like, I expect them to be like, hey, this is the new D&D book. We want you to take a look at it and say what you think about it ahead of time. Maybe prepare something to release when we're going to announce it. We don't want you talking about it.
Yeah.
Or this hot video game, or this movie or something. Something that is, like, actually physically released instead of just information we have to have a non-disclosure about.
Yeah, the NDAs like that are genuinely pretty common. They don't look good, but
No.
It's a standard business practice.
So I can understand that standard business practice doesn't look good. Then we had the tweet earlier this week, which led to a statement if you click on the link in it, where effectively they're like, yes, we're going to have an OGL, the SRD will be there. The game is supposed to be backwards compatible with 5th edition. We'll talk about that. They are finally having rather a 1.1 version of the open game license. The big thing is, like, they did clarify some things on what it covers and what it doesn't cover. I think that's good. Most people probably are like, understanding if I would like write a book or make a PDF like that, is based on like the stuff in the SRD, that's covered. But like video games, videos, they actually say minis, novels, any kind of products like that. That one, there apparently is like
that falls under the.
They have a fan policy that is
policy.
that I actually read in preparation for this. The fan policy is pretty open. Effectively it requires that anything you put out is free, and they have some strict like guidelines as to what you can actually include in it. But basically it has to be free to the entire community. You're allowed to do things like take a Patreon on the side, as long as the Patreon isn't like gatekeeping the content. So as long as the content itself is free and it follows like the guidelines that they have, you can generally just release third-party material.
Okay.
And so that's basically what the fan policy says.
And they also said, like, custom agreement, which is like, WizKids has a custom agreement to do miniatures for D&D, that kind of stuff. So, second part is, like, and this one here is, like, the one that's, like, I hope it's fine, but it's kind of like a little, like, they've changed a little way that, like, if you don't make any money, it doesn't matter for you. If you make money, now that's where things change a little bit. There is a license term agreement you do have to sign with them. So basically a contract you have to sign now if you earn money on it. You have to let them know what they have for sale. You have to report them your revenue, which, like if you make more than $50,000 a year, which, I mean, like, that could be Kickstarters too. There's a lot of successful Kickstarters that could get up hit there. And then the other one thing is creator product badge. I mean, that's fine. I think that's one fine. The badge is fine. They're also saying now that if you earn more than $75,000 of income, there's a royalty sharing that you have to go into. So if you earn a lot of money, you have to pay them royalty. If you earn too much money, My one statement here before I kind of turn the floor to you two is there. In doing some research on this and watching some people that were compiling research, finding out that I don't know the exact percentage, but it was like 95% of all the profit related to every D&D product goes to Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast, D&D, is a $1 billion industry, in comparison to everyone else. Which is maybe like not nearly as much. That's the thing we can say. So, even though that they're making a lot of money on it, a royalty program just seems to be a little bit of extra squeeze. It seems a little... That's the kind of a weird thing of like, I'm kind of neutral. I don't know if I want to feel like terrible about it because it's squeezing for a little extra money and profits from Wizards, but it's also like they are earning a lot of money already on it. So like, that's a weird one to think about. That's what I'm going to say about that one, because it is for high-income people, like really high-income people.
Oh, yeah, it's like only like apparently 20 people in the world like make this amount of income.
And I'm assuming there's some bunch of the companies, like Kobold Press and stuff, are those.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that these are companies, not individuals generally. So even though it seems on like the first glance like, oh, it's fine, it's just going to hit the people who make the most money, those companies are generally supporting a number of staff members.
Yeah.
So like, even though the company's making $1 million, it's going between like 8 to 9 folks who are on the payroll. So nobody's making a ton of money, and then they're going to have to take a percentage cut. That's obviously, I don't actually know how these businesses are run, so it's possible that they're smaller or smaller teams. But
and we don't know the royalty percentage too.
Yeah, my big thing, which is brought up in the comments of the tweet by some DMs and some people who are content creators, is this statement doesn't really say anything. It doesn't. There's nothing here because obviously the OGL isn't done yet.
Yeah.
But these changes that they're promising and saying about, they need a lot of clarification. What kind of contract is this? What is the percentage you're taking? All that kind of shit, right? There's not enough information here for me to make an actual like judgment on it. But I think it's not the worst case scenario. They could have just not had one, or they could have done what they did with 4E and had the really restrictive one.
It's fucking up on D&D Beyond that they put this up. It's not a news site. Oh my god, I just realized that now.
D&D Beyond is kind of where they funnel everything into now. It doesn't work great most of the time, but it's not really built to be a news site for articles. Wizards bought it, so they're using it.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, the only thing that is nice in this, because I can't comment on the revenue thing because there's no percentage listed of what will be taken or anything like that. The license terms are completely unknown. The badge is fine. I feel like that's just sure, whatever.
Yeah.
It does just say no NFTs, and that is good.
Yeah, I do like they specifically called out that they don't want that kind of stuff.
I think that's the one thing that I can agree on, definitely. And like, I think it's the thing is like, one of the things that before they made this statement people were worried about is that they might like, honestly, there was a couple other ways they could go about this. They could do a different licensing program like they did for 4th edition. They could have, honestly, if they really wanted to, try to get rid of the open game license, which I wasn't aware until I heard about this before this statement, that would have actually been a legal battle. When they originally put out an open game license, by putting that out, you've said basically you made a legal contract with the world almost. And if you break that, you are physically have to go through a court process to break that.
Because it would... removing the open game license entirely would basically fuck over a lot of D20 systems. Because many D20 systems are built off of the framework of D&D.
And I think the thing is, they're like someone is like I when I heard about that, I'm like the person who was talking about that was like, yeah, this is probably the least likely, because like, but this would be the most greedy, evil corporate thing because it would take years to do this. Even if they're not successful, it might just choke out the competition.
Yeah.
Which is kind of an awful thing to hear about. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. There's a lot of horrible things that Hasbro and Wizards could do. Yeah.
And at least this reassures me. It sounds like they're not going the darkest timelines, basically.
The thing is, it's only a matter of time before they do it. It's a matter of the community backlash when it happens. The necessity of the fact that they are a company that has to continue to grow, there's only so much growth they can do with adding new customers because only so many people are going to want to play Dungeons & Dragons. So eventually they're just going to have to keep squeezing and squeezing. And so it's just a matter of pushing back when they do that stuff.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I was going to say, the tabletop community is not other communities when it comes to this sort of thing. Certainly like movies. There's a lot way more people you can convince to see movies or television or video games. Like that's a lot more like open-ended, you can get people to convince them a lot easier to do that. Like a tabletop game is time consuming and oftentimes much more money intensive than video games. So it requires a certain someone in a certain position to want to like dedicate themselves to that kind of thing. You have a less audience you're trying to squeeze.
I mean, like...
Oh, you were saying something.
Oh, sorry, Eric, if you were going to say something.
Well, no, I was just going to say that I feel like they got a little big-headed after they had the explosion of new players with 5e. I think that they think they can conquer the world, but it's just... all they did was better marketing for the game they already had.
I mean, I have my concerns with this and with D&D as a whole. The current president of Hasbro is someone who used to be a high up in both Microsoft and Amazon. There was a statement, I don't remember if it was this month or last month, where basically it was said that D&D is completely under-monetized. This has been a big concern for a very large amount of people, including myself. As someone who is friends with many D&D content creators, I want clarifications.
I think the thing about the statement, because I did see that statement about, under-monetized.
I personally believe that they meant merch. Like
no.
I don't believe they're going to Magic the Gathering D&D.
Yeah.
You can't.
You can't. It did sound like...
I agree with
they
with that.
like things like the movie that they're coming out with.
Yeah.
They want to do more stuff like that. They basically want to multimedia and make D&D only like, I guess, like Marvel. It's technically a comic book thing. There's not a lot of comic books left. They're still there. They still make money. Still make comic books. They're just a small portion of it. And they might want to do that.
It's just like basic fantasy. I don't know how you model that.
You just make... Well, the problem... Right. Problem with monetizing D&D in the way that I think they want to do is Forgotten Realms is a very boring setting.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a very basic, cut and dry. Here's your high fantasy. We don't have many interesting characters. Here's this cool drow dude we keep pulling out of the box for you. Who technically Wizards, I don't believe, actually owns. I don't know if he's actually their property, because they didn't technically make him. I don't know how that works.
I guess it depends on the book agreement they did with RL.
Yeah, because I don't know how that whole thing works, because technically he did write, like, most of the Forgotten Realms.
I think the other thing is, like, I'm going to say the statement here. You know what... If someone told me, like, a world that they would do this kind of thing to, Forgotten Realms is the least one, I would say.
Yeah.
It is the farthest from it. Like, honestly, Paizo, Galarian. Like,
Yeah.
if you set stuff like in that kind of world, that's a much more interesting world.
I think because Wizards is kind of too afraid to explore more of Toril these days, because admittedly, a lot of the books did have pretty bad names back in the day. Especially a lot of the more Asian and African-oriented stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But what we have is the Swords Coast. That is the most defined area of D&D currently. It's very boring.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a particularly interesting place. There's stuff they could do to make it interesting, but at the end of the day, it's bog standard fantasy. Compare it to like Eberron or Ravenloft. Technically, I don't believe they own either of those, so they can't use those. But those are inherently much more interesting.
Yeah.
It's like the question is, what do they own and what don't they own? It's really hard.
That is what I don't know. They own Dragonlance. I know that they do have the rights to Dragonlance, so they could do Dragonlance stuff.
They probably have. I don't know
They
about
might
Greyhawk.
not have Greyhawk. They might have Greyhawk because they own all of TSR's old stuff.
Because Greyhawk they used back in. I think maybe they just transferred away from Greyhawk because Greyhawk was the primary one they used in 3rd edition and 3.5. Because like if I took a 3.0, 3.5 handbook, like the deities are the Greyhawk deities. Those are the first ones I knew, and it took me like honestly, the friend of mine who was running games for us. Running a lot of games in Faerun for me to transition my brain to like, oh, here's the Forgotten Realms deities because they had a Forgotten Realms book back in 3rd edition. If I remembered that stuff.
Greyhawk's a weird one.
I don't really remember.
I don't know if Greyhawk will use because TSR keeps TSRing.
Yeah, that might be a good reason to kind of avoid that.
I think they want to sweep that under the rug.
So they really only have Dragonlance, which is...
which they're doing more stuff with. I like Dragonlance personally, but it's a very different type of fantasy because it's a very war-torn world.
Yeah.
It has very much focus on war. It's a lot darker than Forgotten Realms. I don't know how much they're going to use that one.
I don't think they could... Like, I think, like... They could use it, but not to the degree they want. Something like Spelljammer.
No.
Because Spelljammer is, like, very niche. You could have some niche content that people would like, but it's not the core of your content.
I feel like Spelljammer could have a great, like, television show.
Yeah.
I mean... Like, in terms of monetization, I don't really care, personally. Like, I don't like D&D video games. I have my reasons for it. I don't like games that are just, here's the tabletop RPG rules, you deal with it. Because those rules don't translate to video games. And most D&D games just kind of do that. I don't know how Baldur's Gate 3 handles it, because I've not played Baldur's Gate 3. I'm waiting till it actually comes out. But I've heard that it's pretty good. So I don't know.
I think I've talked about it with talking about, like, Pathfinder Wrath of Righteous. I will always compare it to Neverwinter Nights. Neverwinter Nights did a pretty decent job of translating 3rd edition rules to tabletop or to video game format. They didn't try to stretch it a lot. They kept it simple. They did do some stuff that made it work better in video game, but they kept, like, I feel like what they did is they made the core of the game still the core that felt like the same game. It's like you think about, like, Divinity 2, how it's got your stats. It had, like, the same stats. Numbers go up, things happen, you know? It's the same thing. They didn't stretch things very weirdly. I think they don't do quite a well job in Wrath of Righteous and Kingmaker, but they still do a pretty decent job of trying to do the same thing with the Pathfinder game. You can find Pathfinder there, so I'm not saying you can't do that with a video game. You need, like, storytelling to match it, unfortunately. I felt like Neverwinter Nights drew me in. The Pathfinder games are a mixed bag.
I love Neverwinter Nights.
If I look at the vast majority of licensed D&D things, they're usually pretty terrible. I cannot tell you how many... Look, alright, I have played... That's a bot. I have played...
Oh, I'll take care of it.
Like... so many of those AD&D adapted video games from the 90s, right? There's like 1 billion of them, and they're all terrible except Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. The movies, the original movies are bad.
Oh, they're so bad. I love
They're
them.
so bad they're good, but
Yeah.
as a representation of your product, they're bad.
Yeah.
Will they
I
do a
kind
better
of
job
think that
with
this
the new
yeah
one?
this
I have
new
no
movie
idea.
is gonna be.
I think it's gonna be fun. Like, it's gonna be a popcorn movie, right? I don't expect it to be. I expect it to be on par with Marvel movies, which to me are like okay.
I think that's the
Absolutely.
thing too. Is like, you know, like I think that's the thing. Is like Marvel movies are that kind of movie that I can sit down and I can enjoy, and I'm not expecting the world from it, but I'm not
Yeah.
like, you know,
It's an easy to consume piece of media.
yeah.
Doesn't make you think, and it's colorful most of the time.
Yeah. Cough, cough. Sorry, DC. You still have to find that thing. Maybe you will the next 10 years.
DC.
Who knows?
DC is like, we're gonna make the darkest movie in the world, and I don't mean dark like subject matter wise. I mean like there will be no lighting.
Yeah, dude, Batman was so fucking dark. You couldn't fucking see anything.
Batman.
Are you? I can't see you. I can only hear you.
That's why I'm glad he announces himself, because otherwise it wouldn't.
Honestly, you know, when the D&D movie comes out, maybe I'll go see it. Unfortunately, I don't have a local theater. I have a sort of local theater. It just takes a little bit of travel to get to it, so I will play it by ear whether I feel like dragging myself up to that.
Eventually.
But I'll see it. We'll say stuff about it.
But I mean, like, just I don't know. Like, monetization's fine as long as it's like licensed shit.
Yeah, honestly,
Like, more books. Just give because honestly, the Drist books are fun most of the time. I've only read a couple of them. There's like 100 of them or some shit.
Have some more people make some more book series.
Yes,
invent some new characters.
Hire someone else. Give this man time to. Drist does too many things. He needs to retire.
It's I can't believe it. I just realized the same joke that Joe and I had made for so many years about the Conan books Modiphius is putting out, because Conan had 97 billion jobs that he had. It's like, oh, now he's a pirate, now he's a brigand, now he's an adventurer, now he's this, now he's going and hanging out with mages. And I'm like, it's the same thing with fucking Dritz. They just give him 1 billion jobs and send him out to do it. He's like, Dritz, we need you again. All right.
He's got weird level spread.
But
get someone else, please. I beg you.
Shall we at least dive a little bit into D&D 1? Because we were talking about it, and Momo, why don't we have you lead us here? Right. You had the 50 minutes to dissect the current stuff on D&D 1.
A really good video on all of the UAs of 1 D&D. I can tell you with almost complete certainty, a lot of the stuff in the UAs, it's not easily compatible with what is currently in 5th edition. There are a lot of new rules. You can use it. It's compatible, but not in the way they're saying it is. Because they're saying you can use 1 D&D with 5e. I think it's the other way around. You can use 5e with 1 D&D, because 1 D&D has so many more rules. It is much more gamified so far, whereas 5th edition itself is more vague and a little loose with its rules at times. One of the big reasons why I don't think it's compatible is how they're doing subclasses now. Everyone gets subclass 3rd level. So if you are... That just hurts warlocks and sorcerers, which already hurt enough. Right? Because a big part of those is your pact and your bloodline. You don't pick those until 3rd, presumably. Because they want all of the subclasses to be 3rd level.
I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Warlocks have had it too good for too long.
Yeah, clearly. Oh yeah, warlocks. Oh, they've had it so good.
I think power hungry class. When I think of top tier S tier classes, I think.
Yeah, when I think of who needs a nerf, a warlock. Yeah, those fuckers.
I mean, hey, you're gonna just like nerf the crap out of my level dip.
Yeah.
Damn it, man! How am I gonna dip those
no.
levels?
Oh sure.
Yeah, level. Really
Start
gonna
with-
make me stop taking 3 levels in this class.
I can't discuss all of the UAs because the thing with the UAs is each one is obsoleted the last. That's how they are. That's how they are doing. It's a playtest. The rules are
Yeah, yeah.
evolving. That's just how it works. So I can't be like this is how it is in the first UA because how it is in the second UA is completely different.
Yeah, gotcha.
So I can only talk about the third one, which is the cleric one, and how they did subclasses in the new species, as they did change the name, which I'm completely okay with because race was kind of just a shit word, anyways.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would have preferred if they went with lineage.
I like
'cause
heritage.
That sounds more heritage, or
Heritage,
lineage
lineage.
sounds much more fantasy, but species is fine.
I will always go to bat for Pathfinder 2.
Ancestry
Because Ancestry sounds really
such
cool.
a good
Ancestry is awesome too.
Yeah.
Ancestry is my favorite one.
Yeah.
The heritage they had.
Heritage would have been really good.
I think they had that in the previous book. That's why
Had
people-
lineage in a previous book.
Lineage, God,
And then
gotcha.
people didn't
But
like that.
species is fun.
Species is fine. Where to start? Cleric, which is the big one I can talk about. Which we talk about a little. Cleric is like completely different. I'm not going to talk about its mechanics. We already discussed that on the show. Clerics get their domain at 3rd level, which is weird because where are you getting your first 2 levels of power from if you're not getting them from your god? Right? It's the problem paladins have, where for the first 2 levels you're a paladin with an oath, but you don't have an oath for your first 2 levels.
I'm going to make a comment about that I thought was really stupid, because I remember when D&D 5e was like first coming out and I played it. I did a little bit of War of the Dragon Queen with a friend of mine running it.
Yeah.
I played a paladin. Okay? I didn't look at the oaths or anything because you don't get those to 3rd level. And so, like, I was doing all these stuff, and then I'm like, shit, I lied and deceived these kobolds, and tricked them. And, I established this, like, storyline that I could carry over, but now I can't comment on it because my oath says I can't lie anymore because that was the appropriate.
Can't lie anymore. Sorry, buddy. You're not allowed to lie.
So I just have to, like, kind of, like, go, like, I just had to, like, grunt and, like, hope, like, that was enough interpretation, from them. It was just like it didn't make sense anymore.
It's very strange. Paladin. This is my hot take for D&D. This is how I would have done it. I would just given all subclasses fucking 1st level.
That sounds nice,
right? Because it's such an important part of your character.
So I was gonna say like the same thing. You give them at 1st level, and just for classes that you don't want to give any effect, just don't give them any abilities at 1st level.
Give them something like super minor that doesn't matter.
Yeah, like half those classes have weird like prestidigitation-esque abilities. So it's like, oh, you can turn on fire from a distance, some shit like that. Like literally give all of them like something like that at 1st level, and then give them their major ability at 3rd.
They want to do this. They want to unify all classes to having their thing at 3rd level because, according to Jeremy Crawford, they don't want to overload new players with choice. But my counterpoint to that is when you've gotten to that point, you've already picked from 12 classes, God knows how many species, God knows how many backgrounds, weapons, armor. You've already made a billion choices.
Feats that one time because feats are in that thing now.
Feats too is one more set of choices really gonna break a new player when they've already made so many. Like, I could understand Pathfinder has too many choices because honestly it does. But 5th edition doesn't.
Yeah. I think that they oversimplified 5th edition, which was the big problem, and I feel like that's always because they're trying to make it as accessible, which they should make it more accessible. That's good. Accessible. But I don't think that accessibility is necessarily the devolution of complexity. I don't think making a game less complex makes it inherently more accessible. I think a complex game, like chess, is a complex game that you can teach to anybody.
Yes.
Because the rules of chess are relatively simple, but the complexity is in how you utilize them. And I feel like you can do stuff like that. It would take iterations, but I'm like, you're a multi-billion-dollar company.
We have the perfect example of this. 6th edition Shadowrun.
Yes.
They
6th
tried to
edition
make it more
Shadowrun.
accessible, and they went too far and made it bad.
Yeah, 6th edition is just too simple. It doesn't feel like Shadowrun. It doesn't play like Shadowrun. It's not Shadowrun.
And that's the thing is, like, yes, 5e doesn't go that far. But I feel like you don't have to, like, walk it forward instead of back. And I feel like the decision to, like, make all the 3rd level is a walk back rather than a walk forward. We want D&D 1 to be the walk forward, you know, rather than the back. Yeah. We've got our simple, let's add in a few more layers. We don't... Yeah. It's just something.
They're gamifying, because 5e is very much it has a lot of rules, but a lot of the rules are optional or ignorable. From the UAs of 1D&D, they are much more gamified rules, more akin to Pathfinder style rules, where you can't really bend or break them, because they've clarified a lot of things. There's a new sets of actions. Spell lists are completely different. I personally think they've somehow made Bard bad, but that's my personal opinion.
Oh, I mean, I will agree with you just because,
bad,
like,
they
it's one of the things that I think is the issue that I've always had with 5th edition Warlock, is they're now doing with D&D 1 Bard, is they're not taking the spirit of what the class was in all the other editions, they're ignoring it. And I understand what they wanted to do, like, 5e Warlock, they didn't want to make it the same as before, they wanted to make something new and different. It's not the Warlock from any of the other editions.
Yeah.
The Bard now...
doesn't feel like any of the previous bards.
Yeah.
It's still, at its base layer, a bard, but it's been more shuffled into support.
Yeah.
Rather than skill.
And I feel like... yeah. I feel like the direction they went in is almost like... the problem is, like, the way I'm looking at the bard now, unfortunately, is why not just play a support wizard?
Yeah.
You know, you're probably going to be better off than the bard as they've made it now, because it's using the same spell list, and that's the problem. It's the exact same spell list. So,
well, no, it's not the same spell list, because you're limited to like 2 or 3 schools as a bard.
Oh, that's right. So it's the wizard, it's the arcane spell list, but worse.
I think you just get illusion and enchantment as bard.
Wow.
And the other thing is that I have always said the biggest problem that Dungeons and Dragons has always had is because of the ways that they release content, it always becomes a race to when your class is outmoded by just doing it better as a wizard.
Yes.
Because wizards eventually get such a varied spell list that you can just do anything another class does better as a wizard. That's what 3.5 it happened to, and Pathfinder First Edition, it definitely had that problem.
This was an issue in one of the UAs, actually, because there was a spell that was in one of them called Summon Warrior Spirit.
Yes, I remember that.
Effectively, I believe it was like a 3rd or 4th level spell. You just summon a better fighter for an hour.
I remember that.
That's the spell. You just summon a martial character that is just better than all the other martial characters.
It's like, hey, fighter friend of mine, I've replaced you.
I have replaced you with the spirits.
And I get what they're trying to do. They want the wizard to be able to fill in empty spaces, so you don't have to have a traditional party. People don't have to play a fighter. But the problem is that's not how it goes.
No.
It just makes it so the wizard can... And so I think that some of that can be got rid of at the table if you just have players who aren't dicks.
Yes.
But I also think making it mechanically better to do that, so like making it so that's just a really strong ability. Summoning a fighter, like a strong fighter, really is just really strong. And so making that like a really strong ability makes it so it's something that you're bound to do even if you have another fighter.
Right. Like, because you can say that Wizard had that the arcane list, quote unquote, whatever, wizard list is super diverse with all these cool spells. It's really not in 5th edition, but does have, cool spells. You really only take kind of the same spell list every time you play a wizard in 5th edition, because, like, you're always going to have either Fireball or Lightning Bolt. You're always going to have Counterspell. You're going to have the spell Mage Armor, Shield, Magic Missile for when you're like me and can't roll above an 8. Firebolt, Teleport. You're going to pick these same spells over and over again.
Okay. I'm going to say something here, again, towards Pathfinder 2nd Edition that supports it. I really liked the occult spell list.
Yes.
I played a bard. Guess what kind of shenanigans I could get up to? And I could get varied shenanigans. And I took shit spells on purpose, and guess what? They all worked out. Like, I literally took a spell where I take one action, cast a spell, and could make 6 knowledge checks for one action.
Spicy.
That seems stupid, but I could just be like, I identify all the monsters in the room, you know? That's actually helpful. Or like, oh, hey, there's that, like, ritual they're doing there that we should undo with that. It's weird stuff like that Pathfinder does better at this point in time.
I think one of the core issues with it is just 5e doesn't have enough spells.
Yes.
1D doesn't have enough spells.
Needs a better spell list.
Yes. I personally think that condensing everything to 3 lists was kind of an inevitability, because the world lore of D&D already does this. There is already Primal, Divine, and Arcane spells as categories, so it was an inevitability that it was just going to be gamified into that. I think they should have a 4th list for classes that aren't Primal, Divine, or Arcane. It can be a smaller list, a more supporty list, but it needs to have something there.
They don't have to call it a cult like Pathfinder does, but come up with something else that's like, unusual and weird stuff. Different out there.
Yeah.
Bard. The Bard spell list.
Yeah, just the Bard spell list. Only Bard can take it.
I'm sure like some other...
Bard-only spells would be a lot more fun. They should do more Bard-only spells.
I just thought about it. Like, you could probably do, like, Bard/Artificer in the same kind of level. That kind of, like, I don't know what you call it, but that Artificer has very weird spell list, Put it under the same kind of thing,
Yeah. I mean, another big thing about 1D&D for me is the whole... I'm losing train of thought because I'm dumb. And English is hard. Words.
Are they critical?
Right. Those are back. They put criticals back in I think either the second or newest UA criticals are back. They function the same way.
Sweet.
Inspiration matters more. That's good. I actually like inspiration. You don't feel like a dick handing it out now.
Cool.
The species, they all feel fine.
Yeah.
Backgrounds. I was already doing those changes. 5th edition had this whole thing where it was kind of like you can play with any party comp, right? There was no set party in 5th edition. All clerics, all bards, those worked. You could have these weird mixtures. 1 D&D sets up 3 or 4 categories for classes, and they effectively are cleric, rogue, wizard, fighter, right? But just different names. So that feels like a step back, but I also don't hate it necessarily, because it makes wording on rules a lot more simple, and it makes homebrewing classes easier.
Is it what they did in 4th edition?
No.
Because what I'm saying is, in 4th edition, what they did is they put all the classes into one of 4 categories. It was like, I can't remember all of them. It was Striker, Defender, whatever the fuck the support was. I can't remember.
It was... Yeah, the Warlord was in that one. It was like Commander,
and then whatever Wizards.
Heal. And then there's like either a healer or support.
It was like a weird support kind of thing. Yeah.
Nah, what they have is experts, which are Bard, Ranger, Rogue, Artificer. Every class that gets the expert class feature.
Mm-hmm.
Mages, sorcerer, warlock, wizard, priest, cleric, druid, paladin, warriors, barbarian, monk, fighter. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a list that makes sense. They're called class groups now, which were just a thing that they took away in 5th edition for reasons. I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it just kind of helps clarify rules a little bit.
Hot take. D&D is, at its core, about the combat features.
Yes.
The RP of the game is an aspect and an important aspect, but it is not the important aspect. The combat is basically the primary engagement of it.
Mhm.
The skills are not great. Skill challenges aren't super fun. And you get the most engagement from players during the combat scenarios. So them grouping stuff in those categories, I think, gives players clearer understanding of the stuff that they need to set up a party dynamic that's going to make the combat fun for them, so everybody feels like they have their own
Party
role.
dynamic is probably the most important part of playing D&D. As much as we like to be like, you can just play anything. Yeah, you kind of need your fighter. You kind of need the rogue character. You need some kind of priesty healer boy. You need the mage, the nerd.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even for the sole purpose of being like, oh, you need somebody who fills these roles or your party's going to wipe. It's because if you don't, it's going to be very unsatisfying because people are going to overlap, and then there's going to be either competition, which some people thrive in that environment, which cool beans if that's you.
I will just
I don't.
I'll try to tell you, if you don't have a wizard, you're never making any int checks. Sorry.
Yeah.
No other classes int based aside from artificer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love a cleric? Well, sorry, not making any wisdom checks either, because hey, the cleric's the wisdom boy.
I'm gonna tell you, at least for the int stuff, I with my rogue, I might still be able to do it because I will always give rogues intelligence because I will always remember 3rd, 3.5, and Pathfinder. A rogue needs 2 things: Dex and intelligence.
Yes, and now it's
followed by maybe wisdom, charisma, constitution.
Yeah, I mean, I think you should maybe give your melee rogue a little con, Tantus, but I'm not here to judge how you build your characters.
Fuck you, Constitution. I can live without you.
At least you. Well,
at least with a 10. I can live with a 10.
Yeah, I mean, is your next step you're gonna have 8 con like Cell
No,
did?
God, no. I've been there. It's a terrible idea. Never again. I
mean, I guess the only other thing I can say about one D&D before we talk about the actual topic is, hey, you want to guess what spell school cure wounds is in this edition? It's evocation in 5th. It's evocation in 5th. What do you think it is now?
Necromancy?
Abjuration.
Ooh. I don't hate that.
I don't personally understand it, but
I'm fairly certain now it's been evocation. I think it's conjuration in Pathfinder. It was necromancy in older editions. I think.
Yeah, it's been necromancy.
Conjuration's weird.
I think it's been divination once as well.
Necromancy, I don't hate that so much, and I think evocation's probably the best one.
Evocation's fine. Evocation's manipulating the energy and bringing it forth. Conjuration, they were supposed to saying like you're summoning energy from like another plane to use it, you know, kind of thing. The necromancy deals with life and death, a bunch of stuff like there. The abjuration maybe. Abjuration was supposed to be like defensive abilities and stuff, so I guess
all healing is abjuration now, which I get it to an extent, but I mean
they can't make up their minds.
That feels weird. Is it now evocation is kind of just, elemental stuff? Which I mean also kind of that makes sense to me at least. But yeah, I just thought that was an interesting tidbit that they've changed cure wounds again.
Hey, let's talk about the upcoming stuff for next year in D&D.
Yeah.
I got a list of the 5 books they've announced.
Oh fuck, 5?
5.
Well, actually, I think I might know some
one of these. They said winter 2022, and it's not out yet, so I think just winter. Keys for the Golden Vault is basically another anthology series.
Can you post the link?
This is the link that I found on it.
So I can read it.
This I'll just send this actually like you guys directly because it's just a news site. So let me just fuck around with this. Pay no attention to the fact that this will change to another scene. There you go.
Blizzard Watch.
Blizzard Watch. And so if you want to go see it, just look up. Like I just googled like D&D 2023 releases, honestly, and how to find like a news site that had these that were their announcements. So, I mean, anthology series, I don't mind their anthology series. Those are fine. Whatever on that.
Mostly okay.
Yeah. Again, I think it comes down to the visual adventures in those.
Yeah, I mean, Candlekeep is the better one currently, because Yawning Portal's kind of bad.
So it's Keys to the Golden Vault. I guess it's, they want to have a lot more, like, heisty type stuff or stuff.
Makes
sneaky,
sense.
criminally stuff. Neat.
Basically an Ocean series, but film, but with things like golems and kobolds. Alright, fair enough.
They're gonna do Bigby's. Bigby did a lot of other stuff. Now he's giving us giants.
What the fuck is Bigby? Well, who the fuck is Bigby?
I don't actually know, but I know
he has all the hand spells.
He knows all the hand spells.
Bigby's giant hand, Bigby's opposing hand, Bigby's.
He's a wizard of some kind.
I clicked on the link to Bigby. Bigby was earlier an evil low-level wizard who encountered Mordenkainen. That's him, a low-level wizard. Get him.
He's from 2nd edition.
He's from Greyhawk, apparently.
Mm.
He's got a hand spell and some other shit.
Oh, he's got a lot of hand-based spells.
There are oh my god, there are so many hand-based spells in 2nd edition. What the fuck?
Look, and some of these are in other editions too. Look, Bigby
Why?
started off evil. He got his ass kicked by Mordecai, and he went into like making weird hand spells. He's like, I will get my revenge on Mordecai with hands. Which actually, I don't think that's true. But now that I say it, sounds like something a wizard would do.
I do love this bit. Bigby has left his evil ways behind. Since then, Bigby has changed from an enemy to loyal henchman. He's just a henchman. Why does he have his own book?
He's got a giant fist is why.
He's got a big.
Because giants have such big hands.
He's got a big fist to write a big book.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like, giants are cool.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's some kind of content that's like maybe other enemies or not other enemies. I don't know.
I mean, if it's anything like Fizban's Treasure of Dragons, it'll actually be decent.
They're doing something with Lost Mines again. Making a campaign.
I did know about this. I am very interested in this because Lost Mines needs to be more than 5 levels.
So, I mean, I guess that's cool because they're taking their old adventure that was their previous starter adventure, and instead of ignoring it, they're like, we're just gonna evolve it into its own thing. And honestly,
I mean, I've talked about Lost Mines on the show before. I think it's still like a perfectly fine first adventure.
Yeah. So if they make it a little bit better and a little bit more, and so a lot more to it, cool. I don't know what the Book of Many Things is, but I
assume. I guess it's like based off of Deck of Many Things or some shit, right?
Yeah. So like,
I'm assuming it's gonna be an item book. That's what my assumption is. It's gonna be like items and stuff.
I mean, and then the next thing is Planescape. I mean, Joe's gonna love that. He loves Sigil.
Yeah, I mean, Planescape is cool. I played the video game. I think there was a video game of Planescape.
Planescape's gonna be fun.
It's the most interesting book they've announced.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the thing of like I was always the big Spelljammer person, but I know like Joe really liked Sigil and the way that they portrayed that in older editions and stuff. And it's
I never liked Spelljammer because I prefer planar shenanigans.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you.
Not weird magic space.
That's the thing is like, I think for me the reason I like Spelljammer is because like I've read a lot of the lore on it and stuff, and like they keep with the traditions of AD and at least in the old stuff. They kept with the traditions of like the AD&D lore, but made it very interesting and different. Like, I mean, like Planescape is basically I open a portal, I go to somewhere else. You know, the idea of Spelljammer is like each cosmology is really only a single solar system. In Spelljammer, in the original Spelljammer, it's one solar system. Hey, you have the realm space, which is Toril, its star, a couple other planets. That's it.
I mean, this is my question for Planescape. Since we're gonna get more like clarification on planar stuff, how are they gonna blow up the cosmology this time? Because you know we've gone from Great Wheel to World Axis to World Tree. What's the next one gonna be?
I don't know.
Is World Turtle? Is it gonna be World Turtle? Just every plane's on the back of a giant turtle. Like Terry Pratchett intended.
I mean, I guess the idea is like they want you to be able to like explain some of like the unusual planar like multiverse stuff, and Planescape's a great way of doing that.
Like
better than Spelljammer, unfortunately.
Ultimately, cosmology doesn't fucking matter because it never comes up in a game.
Again, like. Planescape and Spelljammer are very different feelings. Like, depending on the kind of adventure you want, both of them work. Just you have to look at the adventure you want. Like, if I want a more actual adventure, travel-y, with a bit of sci-fantasy kind of stuff, I'm gonna go Spelljammer. If I want to, like, you know, go more, like, exploration with a little bit more of the magic and, like, you know, mystery and, like, you know, weird alternate dimensional stuff, Planescape's probably more your thing, you know? Do you want to explore weird dimensions? You want to explore weird air planets or something? Or, like, you know, planets filled with Tarrasques, because that was a thing in original Spelljammer. Mind flares and Tarrasques. That they literally look. They gave us some really horrible planets. They literally have a planet where the surface is covered in either Tarrasques or little tiny creatures the Tarrasques eat, and then underground in their Underdark is just mind flares, like millions of mind flares. Like the entire planet is infested by it. No one wants to visit it because of Tarrasques, so they can just live there in their Underdark.
Ooh, man.
And the Tarrasques don't dig. On that planet, at least.
Yeah.
You know? That's...
Tarrasques can't dig, and their vision is also based on movement.
I think it's just that they, like, you know, are deep underground and just, you know, out of sight, out of mind. Anyway, so hey, 2023 for D&D. I got a
couple books. I don't know. I might probably buy them. Maybe I don't fucking know at this point.
Two of them sound really good. Like
the adventure, I'm definitely the most interested in because I do like Lost Mines a lot.
I think Fendelver and Planescape are the two that I would say are most interesting. Just because, like, again, as much as I'm not as a big fan of Planescape, I like it when they do stuff like that. You know, a lot. Like a big actual campaign setting. Like, you know, Dragonlance. I don't know a lot about Dragonlance. I'm really happy they put that out. We have one final normal topic to talk about today, and that is basically going to be some digital tabletop. I'll start with, because Steve Jackson's website has been awful as of late. At the beginning of the month, they were like, hey, the Munchkin pre-release came out. I didn't understand that at all, because you can't tell what's going on that website. Their releases are just fricked right now. Anyway, here it is, the Munchkin digital game. It's in early access. And Direwolf has now put out that one, Munchkin Digital, the Root game, and Everdell, I think, are the main ones. They also did a Game of Thrones, the board game, and a cup. They've been doing. This company's apparently been doing a bunch of digital board games.
The Game of Thrones board game is actually pretty good.
Yeah, this looks really good. The Munchkin board game.
Everdell looks really good. I think Everdell and Root are fully out at this point in time.
They also did. Here's a G. They did. I believe they have a Dune board game as well.
And they are online multiplayer. which is really good. So, I think it's really interesting that, like, you know, as much as I like Tabletop Simulator is a very simplistic version of it. It's sort of like, if I'm playing Tabletop Simulator, I will compare it to, we've talked about it, Roll20. Roll20 is very generic. It does its job, but it's hella generic. You know, it requires a lot of work on your side to set up any kind of thing that seems customized. You know, specific virtual tabletops or something like that are made specifically, I think that's a pretty good direction to go with a lot of these.
Yeah, it's just so nice. You played the Gloomhaven game, that came out of early access. It's such quality place that I honestly feel so good about the future of like digital tabletop. And digital tabletop has been like really important to me when I've been separated from my family. And honestly, it's always going to be an important part of my life because a lot of my friends are scattered all over the globe. So being able to play these games in like a nice format. Because the tabletop, the simulator is good for the games that it's like designed for. It's good for some games, but I feel like there's a lot of games that just don't work very well.
Any game that requires scripting will inevitably break.
Yeah. You know, that's what it is. Any game that requires scripting will inevitably break. It's very true.
Yeah, I mean, I have experience with, at the very least, the Game of Thrones board game from these guys. It's a very well-made video game version. It works very well. I expect the Munchkin one to work very well.
Yeah. I'm really glad that they did the Everdell one. Like, Everdell is one of those little games that I got, and it's really fun, and just a friendly little, like, it's a resource management where you're 90% of it's dealing your own lane, and you might accidentally put your character on a place that someone else wanted or something because you're just doing your own shit, you know. But you're playing with people, and, you know, who wins at the end? I don't know. Whoever got enough points, you know. We were just doing our own things mostly and just having fun vibing with tiny animals or something. But I think, like, there's games that are out now that, like, tell me that the digital tabletop landscape is getting better. And, you know, it's like, it's that catch-22 that it's one of those things that's like, yes, right now it's $15 for Munchkin. Now, granted, there could be a sale in the future, a little less or something like that, but that's still cheaper than the core Munchkin game.
Yes.
Granted, if I wanted to play with you two, each of us would have to buy it rather than, you know, me buying it physically and coming to people. I think that's the big thing about the digital is we all individually have to buy it at this point in time.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think it's still a good thing. Personally, I think it has a neat art style to it. It's got the Munchkin art style, which is fine. But it has a neat presentation to it, right? Like, you look at stuff like Mysterium or Terraforming Mars, and, well, they are basically like complete one-to-one recreation, but on the internet and online, and they work very well. They're just basically the board game with no extra work put in.
The Mysterium looks really nice. It's just Mysterium.
Yeah, it's just Mysterium.
You know,
this looks more like a Mysterium, but with a little bit more UI. It does the cool. It looks like you're actually gonna be kicking down like a little door, and the thing's gonna pop out, it's cool.
Yeah, it's a little bit of extra effort put in.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I certainly think that's pretty good. Like, I think that's one of the reasons that, like, I know I'm, like, one of the few people that really like it. I got, when it was on sale, that the Clue game on Steam. Honestly, I'd love to play it.
I also own that.
Because I really like, you know, like, it's the extra mile of, like, when you're accusing someone, it shows you, like, you're the character holding the weapon and something. And that's not a lot. It's just a single image. But still.
I'm very bad at Clue.
Exactly, me too.
I can't. I'm not smart enough for this children's game. game meant for like 10-year-olds? Nah, I'm too stupid for that.
I understand that though too.
It's too dumb sometimes, man.
I like to play games with really complex rules so I can pretend it's the complicated rules. That's the problem about my dumb ass.
That's why we play Toy 4.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I think like I'm actually glad this is out. Honestly, it's Munchkin again because I do like the game Munchkin, but it's not the bloat as of yet, at least. But who knows? Maybe they'll have a billion versions of it.
There's gonna be probably DLC.
If it's
like a lot of DLC.
I'm gonna say this year at least. You know what? It means I don't have to have a physical deck of anything at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
You can't. There's so much Munchkin. You can't play with it all in any format that makes sense anymore at this point in time. If you just give me a billion digital aspects, I can at least do that. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? But
there's gonna be so much DLC.
It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot. But so hey, looking forward to more stuff by Direwolf. To be honest,
Yeah, they do good work.
Yeah, more board games like that. Hey, what topic do I want for today? God,
I don't know. I don't have the list.
I know I have to like find a way to like give a version of this list somewhere. Oh, here, let me just. I'll put this in the docket.
Copy, dude.
I'm just gonna copy and paste this entire list into docket.
Oh, gee, that's gonna be so big, dude. That's so big.
There you go.
Alright, hold on. Let me read through all this.
This is the topics I'd come up with over time here. Some of them I haven't removed, and I mean maybe we'll get to them, but like there's some old ones on there that are like the magic formats and stuff. I have to do research for that at this point in time. It would be a good topic, but I have to do research. Let's see here.
Lighter just reacted to it.
God. I'd love to talk for you, but I guess that's after I like resurrect that for like a one shot.
Yeah, you'll have to. I do not remember for you enough to talk about it.
I like your world's economy.
Actually, you know what? Let's talk. That actually is very appropriate for this season. Your world's economy. That's a great suggestion. It's the most economic time of the year.
When you start applying the economy to D&D, nothing makes sense anymore, right? You just have to accept that it's broken. A fucking beer shouldn't cost you 10 gold, dude. It doesn't make sense.
The reason I came up with the topic of your world's economy is not to dive deep into your actual world's economy, because if you do, it breaks.
D&D economy makes no sense.
And also, economies are very fragile in real life.
Yes. You have to actually ignore the real economy of your world. You have to put together this shadowy, fake, pretend economy that means nothing to the implications outside of what your characters deal with that logically makes sense. But you still need one. Like, if my characters goes to the shop in a small city, no matter what your role-playing system or game system it is, that shop will have certain products. You should have certain products that maybe are a little bit, like, useful to your characters. You don't want this, like, unless they're really out there in the middle of nowhere. Like, I'm going to say, like, Pathfinder in Carrying Crown in Ravengrow, you're going to find jack shit in Ravengrow. They have a couple items there because the adventure path of Carrying Crown provided them. Otherwise, it's like 200 people. What are they going to own? Now, Pathfinder's world is a very magic item heavy world. So you are going to find some magic items. Not great ones. 5e's world, not a magic item heavy world.
Whoa.
In a similar town, you're going to find a sword, maybe?
Yeah.
Someone might have some like leather armor.
In terms of shops for D&D, first off, in terms of actual world for D&D, right? Like, we're gonna pull back to just the types of towns, because that's part of an economy.
Yeah.
If I have a world map, I don't make tiny pissed villages that don't matter on my maps, right? I don't talk about that stuff because they don't matter. You're not going to find anything there, right? You're going to find Farmer Jimmy and his fear of goblins because he's a racist.
You know when that town shows up? When story happens.
Yeah. When that town's attacked by goblins and Jimmy's racism is justified, the inevitability of living in a world where goblins are bloodthirsty creatures, then that town will exist.
Well, I mean, like, go ahead.
No, I was going to say something dumb, please.
Yeah. I'm going to say, in Galarian, you have a 50-50 chance of that being correct. Because, like, there's the 50% of the goblins that are like, I can wear pants, and the other 50% are like, pants are evil, murder all humans.
And if you're in 5th edition, all goblins are inherently evil.
Look, it's some are trying. In Galarian, you just have to think some are trying and, are reasonable. It's like, there are technically other species that have horrible tribes. It's just, the elven tribe usually doesn't eat people.
Well, unless they're divinity.
That's divinity.
Unless you're running a world based on divinity, then elves are pretty terrible, right? They'll just eat corpses.
I love divinity elves so much.
They're so gross.
So amazing. One of my favorite use of elves. Elves, I feel like should be. This should be a whole nother topic. New topic. Let's talk about how elves should be aliens.
Hey, I got a system for you. It's called Pathfinder.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I wanted to talk about this is I struggle to give in 5e, particularly to give my PCs the right amount of money and stuff. I actually invented a new system that I use called Influence. That basically it was to replace money for rewards, and players can use it it has defined amounts for each rarity of magical item. That way I don't have to worry about pricing. But also, more importantly, it can be used for like other things, like influencing NPCs and stuff like that, as the name suggests, without like it having to be specifically bribes. Which allows people to do things like put money down when they they're trying to convince somebody of something. It also allows them to make investments. At least I allow them to do I allow my players to do this because my players want all of their games to have spreadsheets.
God, what terrible people!
Man, I don't think I've ever had a spreadsheet for a game.
No, I've never had one either.
I've gotten close. I have gotten close. There's been 2 games where I've been very close to spreadsheet. One of them was a third-party Pathfinder Adventure Path where you were lawful evil, and we had to manage a dungeon for a while.
Oh.
Because there was like an evil ritual that would take a year, and so we took over like the place where the ritual was, and people were going to attack. So we'd be like, we got to rebuild these defenses we had to destroy to take this place over, And the other one was in a game a friend of ours who passed away ran. Me and Blaze, we found a city literally made of platinum, and so we decided to use a powerful magic ritual in 3.5 to make a gigantic gargantuan dire elephant and hollow out a castle inside of it, and we planned it out using our platinum city we were going to raid over the course of years because we could only carry so much platinum back from it.
Bane, calm down.
Look, we were gonna take a dire elephant, which are really big, and have one that was the biggest, one of the larger species of it, because they have kind of the ones that could be slightly larger size. In 3rd edition monsters, use this earth elemental ritual book that turns a creature into an earth elemental, so then it could burrow, climb, and then just walk everywhere. And then we're just gonna make the castle inside of it or something, because it's no longer actually alive. It's just elemental.
Fair enough.
Look, we made insane plans because we were given a city out of platinum. Okay, it was a different time.
different time.
When someone handles you $1 billion gold, you just come up with dumb plans for it.
Yeah, I mean, the way I've learned how to give wealth is just from looking at adventure paths.
Mm.
And then just removing Electrum because it's a shit currency that shouldn't exist.
Yeah, get them.
But yeah, like running an adventure path actually does a pretty good job at teaching you how 5th edition's actually meant to be played. You're actually never meant to buy magic items in 5th edition.
Yes.
You're just not meant to. You're supposed to find them. So that's why the table is super shit for prices.
I don't like that.
It's really bad, but that's just how the dumbass game is designed.
I just like it better when your players get to decide what they're gonna get, because they otherwise they just have to come and petition me for shit, and like I don't like that. That's not fun, because then I'm like, oh, are you gonna get it? And then when they get it, it's less like, oh my goodness, this is this crazy thing that I found. It's more like, oh, thank God, finally, I've been fucking waiting for this.
Yeah,
I think it's the same thing a lot with Pathfinder. Is like, I gotta be honest, like using the you're still technically supposed to roll. Like I'm gonna say, like in a Pathfinder's town, like they have that like below the certain price you're supposed to roll. Like story wise, I rolled for the dismissal spell for your plan on Wednesday because I wanted that to have a chance to fail. But like if you guys were just spending money to upgrade in a town, you know what I wouldn't do for that below a certain price amount? Not fucking roll. It's a 75% chance. I don't care. Just type it as 100. I mean, more expensive things, sure, we'll check on them. But like,
when I make my world, I can talk about because I have made a world now. Well, a continent of a world. I will make the others eventually, maybe, probably not. But when making all the big cities, I actually just was like, I just opened my Pathfinder book and looked at the city size table and was like, this is how the economy works. Because Pathfinder has rules for it.
Pathfinder has very good rules.
Pathfinder rules.
Yeah.
Pathfinder has very good rules for what town sizes have things.
I think it's the thing that, like, your world's economy, whatever you're running, is directly and intrinsically tied to the rewards. We talked about rewards before. The money you give your players affects your economy.
Yes.
Now, that's the unfortunate thing that, like, I have to say, that's a big disadvantage of goddamn 5th edition is it's harder to reward players, because there's a lot of games I've been playing and played in 5th edition where people give me money and I'm like, I have money! I can spend it on...
Nothing.
Basic
idle.
Yep. I could get some more... I don't know, another set of armor that I already have.
I get some potions.
Potions! Yeah! I just need this extra healing because our heal tank cleric never does a great job in healing me.
He was a shit cleric, but you don't need to make fun of him live on stream.
No, I actually was being serious about, like, the fact that, like, he was doing a decent job.
Clerics don't heal.
Like, but there's, like, healing usually isn't so much of a major problem that I feel like I need potions most of the time.
I can tell, Gabe, we have like 10 healing potions, dude. We don't need to fucking buy any more of them. It's fucking wild. Like, I was in a game once where the problem of the economy no make sense was solved by, we were in an adventuring guild and we were paid in script.
Oh my god.
So that's how we did it. We got like fake money.
That's genuinely hilarious.
We were paid in script.
It's like a labor problem. You guys unionized it by the
end of the game. We were paid in basically scripts that was accepted in most towns.
Most towns.
Oh, Jesus.
So like the concept of, hey, why does food cost more than a peasant makes didn't come up.
Because your company was fucking cheaping out on the letting eat situation.
I think that's the thing that, like, at
Hilarious.
very least, Pathfinder, both first and second edition, have tried to make the basic economy beyond your world look like it works. You can start breaking down, like, honestly, like, first edition, we've always joked about the fact that, like, NPCs are supposed to have a certain amount of money.
Every class has 250 gold on them at all times.
Yeah, which really supposed to represent they have 250 gold worth of wealth, but, you know, the joke is because that's how much money as that level of commoner is supposed to have to build their character, they just have a pile of cash because they don't have any proficiencies.
It's got gold.
Just knife that beggar and take 250 gold
like
from
every
him.
ship captain is a +1 chain shirt.
If they were high enough level to afford one. God damn it. I mean, they might, because honestly, most ship captains are like 5th level.
They're usually rich.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you really, the actual like mechanics of an economy, they don't fucking matter.
Nope.
Like,
It's true.
no one is gonna ask about how fantasy banking works, and if they do, kick them out of your table.
That's my wife.
They're too much of a nerd for you.
My wife works at the bank, so she's like, "Hey,
I
with this whole plan to like to make these contracts with people on like doing like work and then selling it to third parties to get like cash up front for the missions, and basically they would collect the thing and pay the other people, so they would have this complex fucking like debt structure so they can get gold up front for their missions. And I'm like, no, this is not. I don't want this. I'm scared.
I think it's sort of like, like there are aspects that are the economy that can be brought in if it matters to the story. Like, if I'm gonna be honest, like if I wanted to, I could have, because banking is a thing. If there's shady bankers influencing a government somehow, I could just say they're influencing government. If you want to look into that somehow, then sure as shit you'll find some banking crap in there that I don't know a lot about.
Some real suspect documents.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into details about it, but it's economic and it probably has some things refined.
The way I run my games, the players also aren't carrying around like hundreds of gold coins. They have, like, this is a thing in human history, when coins were the form of currency, you could get, like, a piece of paper that says, this is how much money you got, right? At a bank. So that's what all my players walk around with. They don't have, like, 10,000 gold to crash the world economy with.
I liked, there was a system that someone did, that they would have it that adventurers, because it was hard to travel around that much gold and it weighs a lot, there were specifically like money people that you could trade in for expensive jewels. So you just have a bag of like jewels that are worth your money, and you know, like, they're appraised at certain levels that, like, you know, they probably have like markings on them, and you could go to like big towns and trade it for like some cash, or certain places would still take it, but you could have like a small amount of pocket gold, and then you'd have your jewels for like your big spending or something.
Yeah, in Cell's game, I believe we're walking around with like plates of precious metal to simulate how much wealth we have, and you just like kind of shave a bit off, because that's how gold used to work.
There are ways to do this, but you have to give large liberties, be creative, and don't worry about the big picture. Like, honestly, if for whatever fucking reason your PCs want to go into a small town and spend 10,000 gold pieces on, I don't know what the fuck, but buy something, just pretend it's not going to crash the town's economy, because that's a large influx of money that no one knows what the fuck to do with.
I love that in a game Lightning ran, we stumbled upon a fucking small town where a blacksmith had a fucking full set of full plate mithril armor for like 15,000 gold or some shit. We don't know why that was ever crafted. We never bought it. Because why the fuck would we? They also had a Sunblade for some reason. Because Lightning randomly rolled the loot as a meme.
Well, I mean, like, I know, like,
don't base your economy on random rolls.
I know, in like, yeah, try not to. I know, like, some of the Pathfinder Adventure Pass, they'll have, like, you'll go to a random town that's small, and, like, the blacksmith will have been a former adventurer that settled in a small town, and, like, he's got, like, his ancient armor that's, like, you know, +3 blah 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 or something like that up on the wall, and you can convince him to sell it to you for a shit ton of money.
Ravencrow had like magical full plate that was presented at level 2, and we're like, man, we're never gonna come back here to buy this.
No,
because the adventure never takes you anywhere near Ravencrow.
It does not.
Again.
I think you can maybe, like, there might be ways to get it, like, maybe,
right, the last book when you're going into the mountains to go blow up Cult Tower, maybe you could make that detour.
You know, it's like, there, even if not, like, just maybe making a deal, making friends with that person or something like that, you know, like, you know, something like that. If you earn enough trust with them, maybe, or something, that person in particular, you could be like, hey, can I use it for this quest that I'm on, you know, to get some, like, you know, justice for this person, you know, something like that, you know, if you focused on, I guess so, but, like, there's just so, like...
Yeah, it's... I generally, like I said, I don't worry about small shit towns, because it'll matter. Like, those towns exist if the player wants to go to it and if the plot demands it, right? The only thing I ever fully flesh out, quote-unquote, economy-wise, are the cities. Yeah. Because those actually matter.
And I just... I like using the basics of, like, what Pathfinder has. Is what, you know, it's like, here's the basic information you need to know about the economy. How much you can buy things under this price for, the maximum you could buy something for, you know, how many of certain items they're going to have. So it's like there's a limit on the number of these items you can buy in a period of time. And that's about all you need to know about, you know, sort of like... it gives those basics, you know, and there's... It just gives you an idea of how things should work. Keep it simple.
Yes.
Your players are going to want to spend money and invest in the economy. Don't sweat about when they do.
Sometimes a player wants to work on the economy proficiency, like Cell did in that one game, where he literally spent like 10 weeks to get economy proficiency.
Sometimes
they made the party so much money.
Sometimes that you want to buy a tower. Other times you want to, like, you know, invest in some local infrastructure.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You do it all.
Rebuilding an island. I'm not gonna fucking bother with, like, you know, that. If you guys say, like, we're building a town on, like, Island of Empty Eyes, I'm like, sure, great. I don't care, like... There's money somewhere going around.
Yeah, the only time you'll ever really need to worry about an economy is if you're doing, like, a kingdom building game.
It was our deeper discussion, Worm.
Yeah.
Your game's economy.
Like, if you're doing a kingdom building game, you should probably flesh out your world's economy a bit, because that's actually kind of important for a kingdom building game.
Yes. Where, like, one where it's, like, the focus. Like, I'm saying, like, Island of MPIs, not the focus, your kingdom building. No. I'm not going to focus on that.
That's passively being built. We've got pirate shit to do.
Yeah, you're doing pirate shit, that's kind of a side thing. But, like, you know, if you're doing Pathfinder Kingmaker, where you're literally building a kingdom, you have to worry about your kingdom's economy a little bit more.
Yeah, actually better.
So... However much important is how much you have to really dive into it, and then just the rest is just hand wave and pretend it's there.
Pretend it makes sense.
Yeah, and as long as your players don't do something really, really, really stupid outside the bounds of whatever your the logical economy of your world will be, don't worry about it. I'm going to take the example of goddamn Vampire, which is a modern day thing. With Nathan. Nathan was a rich boy, you know. When he wanted to spend money, I was just like, sure, you've got the money, go ahead. Like, you know, he had enough money. He owns a private jet. Great. You have enough money for it. It's within your wheelhouse to own one. Cool. blackout windows in most of it, so vampires can travel in the back of the jet. Great. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be pretty awful to fly around in a jet as a vampire.
Yeah, you know, specific ghoul that you like have under your employment that flies the jet around. So like when you're mysteriously sleeping in the back during the middle of the day on traveling time zones, you don't have to worry about it. Great, you know, things like that. You know, you just hand waviness a lot. You know, it's like there's economy happening, and like you know that's the real world economy. But I had to be like, don't do anything stupid. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, Wrath existed where I played a fucking billionaire, and we just never went over that. Never had to deal with it. Because, like, hey, do I have money to buy blah, blah, blah for the party? Yeah, you own, like, the largest fucking trade company in your fucking little country, dude.
Your family is one of the ancient oligarchical families like, which run the merchant empire.
Yeah, you are the embodiment of capitalism. You're good.
I don't really care at this point. And the thing is, I didn't matter with your character because you know what you didn't do? Anything stupid with that money.
No, because I was the only person with a brain cell in that party.
Your party had 1.5 brain cells. Joe had the other half brain cells.
Yeah, I mean,
he tried.
He tried, but then he partially digested a man. So I'm just like, I don't know, dude. I think you're pretty evil.
He was a horrible blob monster that could devour people in order to assimilate their souls into him and mimic them. And he just partially ate a man.
And had no like skin left. He's dead. That dude died. He died horribly.
He had no skin left.
He did not live long, or a well life.
Get the healer in here. Don't think it's gonna help.
That's like a 7th level spell to fix that.
That poor man suffered really badly too. I'm like, God damn it, Joe. I specifically told him what happens when he does stuff when he forgot.
It's gruesome.
Anyway, we should talk about our week in tabletop now.
Yeah, probably had one of those.
That was a good talk about the economy, you know, of your world. It's an important thing. You have to, again, pay attention to it a little bit, not enough to give you a headache.
Yeah. I'm glad that I was just looking for validation over the fact that I suck at giving out rewards. So
I hope you found it.
Giving out rewards. Like, that's the only reason I like the Adventure Pass, because you know what they do? They're like, have these rewards. And I'm like, you want some extra cash? Sure, you earn it. Buy some stuff for yourself.
Look, every like dungeon I make, I roll a D100, and if it lands on a certain percentage, there is a trapdoor made of adamantine in that dungeon worth 2,000.
Fucking Carrying Crown. Carrying Crown is the worst example of anything. Oh, God. Hey, there's this adamantine trapdoor with 2,000 gold in this tower. How are you gonna get it out?
You gotta go across the 2 rope bridges to get that one out.
But we gave you the price value of it.
Also, the guy who owns this place, still alive.
You may have thought him dead and already raided half of his possessions for money.
I just thought they give the gold value of everything in this man's house. Like, they expect you just to steal it all and sell it. Where are you going to sell it, first off?
I feel like they expect it because they know their audience. Because, honestly, that's very traditional old D&D.
Yep.
Like,
they did also rob the guy, but not as much as they wanted.
Like, me when I was playing and running in 3rd edition would have done that.
Like, I think Lightning's character stole a halberd. I stole... Me and Jess's character, we stole, like, 2 totems of wonder or whatever. Just put those right in our pocket.
Yeah.
And then the dude gave us, like, $1 billion... Like, it was, like, several thousand gold to never talk about his horrible experimentations again.
He's like, have a bribe to not mention that I've created a lot of constructs and done a lot of horrible things that maybe this evil cult used against me. There we go. Yes.
Here's a bunch of hush money. Now leave.
Leave me with my weird Frankenstein monster's son.
Leave me with my son, please.
I mean, the one thing he did right is he made a flesh golem with intelligence somehow.
Yeah. It's real weird.
He doesn't even know how he minted it. It was an accident. It's like, whoops, gave you intelligence. That's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, he put the right brain in.
Mm-hmm. Did anybody have anything on Sunday? I think it was just a Sunday.
No, Sunday's not happening right now.
Yes, I actually had.
You had something on Sundays? Exciting.
Yes, I'm playing this new system my friend pitched us called Lancer, where it is Gundam, your mechs, and it is very much like a war game. And we just had the first set combat session, and we're playing in Tabletop Simulator, and it's gorgeous because my friend found this this map set that he's utilizing to be able to play on a 3D map. So it's very visually pleasing, but the game is very complex. It took us we do 3-hour sessions because one of the people has children, the other guys have work in the morning, so we just played 3-hour sessions. And in the 3-hour session, we got maybe halfway through the combat.
Fair.
And so very complex combats, but fun. I think it's a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah, I would highly recommend if you're into a strategic wargaming style to check it out. Called Lancer. Yeah, that's my Sunday.
Did you have your Monday space terrorism game?
Yes. We didn't have terrorism this time.
You didn't have terrorism this time. Okay.
Well, we managed to avoid terrorism.
Certain...
We managed to avoid terrorism. So the thing is, we were supposed to basically steal back this rifle. Now, the thing is also, I swear I missed something. That apparently there was also supposed to maybe deliver something, the same rifle to someone else. That's part the leader of this organization, this pirate group that owns this one area, and we're dealing with one of their leaders, basically one of the faction leaders of this big pirate organization. They control this area, in a couple other areas. This one area of this one under the control by this one person. So we steal this rifle. So I'm I'm not good at stealth. I'm not good at distractions. I'm going to be in the vehicle with my laser sniper rifle to either be ready to do the getaway because I'm the pilot, or to start shooting some people. Whatever's needed. So 2 of us were on backup. 2 of us created distraction, and the other broke in. I will tell you, the series of, because it's a 2d6 system, the series of 12s by the person that was breaking in, followed by double 1s by the person that they were dealing with. Effectively, our person breaking in got the leader person drunk, stole the rifle, and then just quietly assassinated the leader person. And did it successfully.
Right.
Amazing.
Because the leader person rolled double 1s 3 times.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking rip.
Again, and there were 2 double 6s, all by themselves. No one helped them. They basically did the mission and assassinated this person who was kind of really terrible, and also we were finding out was probably going to turn against their leader. But now we can't deliver to the leader person also, even though they were probably going to do a revolution. It sounded that's at least what I interpreted from what it sounded like. I might have been interpreting it wrong. I'm going to say that. Because honestly, we don't have evidence, and it's just sort of hey, we got this from this person that's now dead, So we have a free maser laser rifle, which is a very expensive laser rifle, and now we, have information of where to go to get this key finally, because the entire point of this was to make a deal with someone to find some information out. So yeah, I guess we did that by getting someone assassinated. That was
you
pretty
basically like mission accomplished,
You
right?
know, pirate warlord we stole from and assassinated and got away then.
Yeah, just, bring out the mission accomplished banner and you're good.
We just did a fetch quest for information and it worked out somehow. And so we just left and there was, a dead person that none for wise or us involved with.
We take those.
Fair enough.
What system is that?
We're doing Traveler. So it's like
never heard of that.
It's
very.
I would call it like
newer.
It's Traveler Second Edition. It feels like it's like a spiritual successor to Stars Without Numbers.
It's an OSR game.
Yeah, it's an OSR game. So it's
Old
the same
school Renaissance or whatever.
It's the same like system as that, but it's very new. The game though.
Yeah, it's designed to be like older systems where you die a lot.
Yeah, at least it feels better than the last time I tried to dive into Stars Without Numbers. Because Stars is also not new.
Stars is kind of bad.
Even if it's the newer version. So.
Yeah, I've heard things about Stars Without Numbers. I actually have a Monday game too. I have a Spelljammer game, and I was lucky to have that. I didn't do something that was that would spoil the main storyline, so I can actually talk a bit about it. There is some spoilerinos for a side quest that you could do on the way to our next main story beat. We found a strange asteroid floating, and it looked like there was some sort of abandoned outpost on there. And we went down there to find some sort of abandoned military outpost that had a bunch of gross body horror monsters there that we ended up fighting. Very the Thing kind of situation. So we came after the fact. So we fought our way through a horde of these guys to find out that they were making these weird mech suits, that they're these living living magical mech suits. One of which that was left and my character took. My character is an auto gnome.
Oh, Jesus Christ, you're the robot gnome.
Yep, so I'm the robot gnome race. So and it looks like this big sort of chitinous insect monster. So I'm this little robot gnome riding around this Gundam style chitinous robot suit. And the thing is absolutely insane. So that's what my Monday game was like.
Nice.
I'm sorry. It just always reminds me of when I was doing a Pathfinder game, and we were kind of doing some futuristic stuff. I will always remember I ended up with the power armor because the character that it was really meant for, the person stopped showing up a session beforehand. So I just got because I was the only melee fighter, they're just I guess you get the power armor, and I'm like,
sure, that's me now.
It's a real shame that your mech doesn't have wheels, because now you can't just say auto gnomes roll out.
If you think so, I won't say that anyways. You're damn cool. I've waited too long for this moment. I think something as foolish as not having wheels is going to stop me.
Auto gnomes roll out. Tuesday?
We're still on break.
You're still on break. Wednesday, you had honestly the weirdest planning session, completing with the plan that it went in directions that it was just weird and great.
It worked.
It did.
Yeah, that session,
we didn't die.
that session was everyone but Yuckle had a good time.
But to be fair, I feel like a lot of combats are just Yelkul doesn't have a good time. Yelkul gets his shit and then you guys eventually dumpster the people.
This one may have been worse because you were impaled.
Oh God, the damage that
you were impaled onto a man.
Oh, every single time. I was feared too. So
he just picked you up and I just imagine the slow onto the spikes. It's just gonna be so terrible. Just like
I thought
you
about it
go.
after the fact in that fight. I should have made Misty large because the musket would have become like 3D something.
Yeah, I think we overused the large on me because
Yeah, you're actually at this point. Yuckle's the worst person to get it.
I'm not the worst, but I'm definitely not the best.
Because you already have
would be the
ways
worst.
of making your strength better.
Yeah, in large
You're
only
angry
increases strength by
It's just
2.
giving me a D6 for my damage die, which is good.
Like, the penalties to enlargement on Misty isn't a lot because you are touch AC.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
-2 dex doesn't hurt you a lot.
Trying to find the table.
And I think bonus to damage is just way better.
Yeah. No, you did a good job finding a barb devil, and then honestly, like, when you settled on, like, I don't know who it came for the food story, but I was like, that's a great idea, like inviting people out, because I'm like, God damn it, the murder man will go out to get food.
I think that was me.
Yeah, someone suggested, like, let's take him out to
that
get
was
some
really
food.
smart.
You know, so it's like you have the show, and then, like, the one person that will go out to that does, so then you can murder a devil without worrying, while, like, the other 2 people are like, good work, and then, like, your plan to have their bodies in the water with the illusionist was great too then, you know, and set up some death, you know, that was great. And then so he came in there, but he was shit-faced drunk, and, you know, you got into the fight with him, you were unable to subdue him, but then, you know, honestly, you asked for the bard, and, like, he's got vomit of spell.
Bard made him vomit for a minute per level or some shit.
It's a round per level, but still, he's 11th level. That's a minute and it's 66 seconds
round
of just complete nausea. When you're shit-faced drunk,
man,
you are vomiting a lot. Then
it's real bad. I actually spent the week between the session prior and last session actually thinking of the plan.
Yeah,
that was a good plan. And though the plan didn't go 100% according, I think we made such a good plan that the one miss wasn't devastating. It was probably the worst miss we could have got, but that was the most likely to miss too.
I think the thing is, you were never going to get him to back down with the Intimidate, but you got him for 6 rounds to have -2 to so many things, combined with the drunk, because I do like using the drunk template, which is a third-party template.
I love the drunk template.
You're just sickened. You're just sickened, you know? So it's like, the guy had -4 to, like, everything then, right at the start of combat, and that was really good for you. He was so fucked with that.
Yeah, we were fighting him by himself.
Mm-hmm.
He was intoxicated, and then once he got the that throw up spell, I think even one round of just all of us being able to wail on him would have been just devastating. I think, and I think you said he was going to have like a round per level, so like that's minimum 7 or 8 rounds. Like, yeah.
And I knew Conquerbar's actually smart. That's why I wanted to add at the end. Conquerbar said specifically so he could hear, we only need the one alive.
Yeah.
You know, that was Conquerbar being a really good, you know, actual bard. And also adding an insult, because he honestly, might be willing to say less or different things to Aranax now that, you know, he's captured and sent to him. But that's a next week problem, figuring out how that's going to go.
That's an Aranax problem.
4 days from now.
Well, you also have to convince that man, like, you know, that the other people are dead. And their bodies are gone for some reason.
It shouldn't be too difficult. I actually was tempted to take the plan a step further, but it would have been really difficult because there's a spell called Sculpt Corpse. So if we could have found 2 corpses, we could have just made 2 corpses that look.
But why does he need to, like, he's getting arrested? Isn't he going to get executed? What the hell does he care? If he's mad and asks questions about it, we'll just say...
He's the kind of man that would probably just tell Aranax some things to screw you over for revenge.
Yeah.
So, like, if an Aranax, might not believe him.
But he wants, confirmation.
But what does he know?
Currently, he knows that his associates were dead, the devil was dead, and that it seemed like he probably assumes Aranax hired on Misty as a other ex-Chelix person to basically find out about them and capture them.
Yeah, and then that's all he needs to know. He can
also lie.
Yeah, we can just say to Aranax, we'll just. What are we gonna tell Aranax? No, never mind. Well, that's actually a problem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, even a lot of the other plans when you were kind of brainstorming weren't bad. They all would have had various pluses and minuses, and I think that was a good thing of what the hell can we do? And here's all these suggestions and stuff, and what's possible. The dismissal for the devil, that was a great idea. It had to roll an 8 or higher, meaning it
possible.
It had
a 40% chance or something.
It had a 1 in 3 chance of failing, a little bit more than more than that, but still, that's still possibility for failure.
Yeah, I think that's still a good chance to just outright avoid an encounter.
Exactly.
I mean, I did find it hilarious that both of your times stabbing it with the trident, it rolled a 1.
Yeah, that was absolutely hilarious. That's the one that he failed on.
Yeah. Double 1s on that.
Yeah.
The Zool.
Yeah.
Real sad.
That was Wednesday. It was a good session.
Wednesday.
Yeah. Anything on a Thursday?
No. I canceled this because I was filling in well, and then we played Divinity.
We did do Divinity and finally got after Chapter 2.
We did finally get out of Chapter 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I became a Birdman.
You did become a Birdman, and it's hilarious.
Amazing.
I can say the Pathfinder Wrath of Righteous is fine, honestly. Again, I keep saying this. Act 5, the final, act, it's actually just fine. There's nothing wrong with it. The only thing that's wrong with it is I had to fucking reset my entire army. That was just stupid. They give you some things to make it easier, and you have a lot more money to rebuild it, but I feel like it's also one of those things is if I didn't have to do that, you could have come up with a better plan for it or something, and I'm it's the fine part of it. I don't mind the Crusade combat. It's not great, but honestly, if you know what you're doing, it's not difficult, and you have to be a certain power level to actually threaten things, which I was before the reset, and now I have to build back into, but whatever. And sending my people to do some random quests, it's they're random quests. I said there was a Fallout reference. I went to a place that had a big cog door move out of the way, and then some person down there was we've got some water problems, can you help us solve it?
Perfect.
I'm this is Fallout.
Yep.
I'm I know this. I don't think I haven't played the original Fallout, and I knew what this was.
It is the first half of the game.
Yeah. Friday, anything on Friday?
No, 2 people were busy with travel.
All right. So, sounds like it was a pretty decent week in Tabletop with some very fun things that we did. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that comes to the end of the show. I think this was some good topics to talk about today, honestly.
I had a good time.
D&D 1 and the open game license are such a thing that's kind of developing, and we kind of have to keep pay attention to. We have to see what routes it takes. It's going to be a thing. Is it going to be another 4th edition? Is it just going to be another 3.5? What is D&D 1 going to be? What's going to be the open game license? These are questions that we should all pay attention to as people that do 5th edition. Or just, we could all move over to Pathfinder 2nd edition. It worked when we went all over to Pathfinder the first place. Just saying. I'd be okay with that. Anyway, I like Pathfinder 2nd edition. I do. I like normal Pathfinder too, but
Pathfinder 2nd edition. It's very fun.
I gotta run some 2nd edition stuff.
The little bit I played of 2nd edition was pretty good.
I gotta like maybe pull out an adventure or something and like just run like a 4 or 5 session adventure on stream or something. One of these days.
It's a good time.
Thank you for joining me, Erik and Momo, today.
Yeah.
Do we either of you have anything to kind of shout out or
I watched maybe a dumbass on Wednesdays.
Yeah, same. And also, let me know when you guys revisit the OGL. Probably when the new OGL actually comes out in full.
Yeah, when I can actually read it.
I'd love to sit down and talk about that again after I had a chance to read it.
My schedule right now, I will be back Monday. Definitely going to try to get deeper into Parasite Eve 2. We're like at least halfway done the game. We're on disc 2. Honestly, I got to disc 2. So like maybe a couple more sessions of that. Because I was sick for that time period, it's probably going to bleed over a little bit into January, but like that'll be fine. I think Resident Evil month for October bled over into November a little bit.
It did, yeah. A little bit.
Yeah, we'll blend over that. I'll do some more Pathfinder Wrath of Righteous. I might try, if I'm feeling up for it, I might, again, I keep talking about it. I do really want to get some extra sessions of it just so we finish it, because honestly, Act 5 is close to being done. Like, I look at a list of, like, tasks to do, and I'm like, this isn't large. I'm pretty close to just being done this game. And it would be nice to just be, check it off the list and, like, see how the ending goes, and then give an opinion that's, like, based on the ending, and not, like, chunks that I'm in. I don't know if I want to do another, because I just did the Stellaris game with the Toxoids. I don't know when I want to do another one so soon with checking out the new stuff, because they redid like ship combat and the Ascension Pass.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just talk about that if I can have a chance to do that with some friends. Just to check it out. And then schedule for the game for Wednesday, and nothing else in the schedule right now. I'll let people know on Discord and Twitter if I come up with anything else, if I organize anything else. Chances are probably not this week, but you never know. And I'm hoping to, I still have to look for it. If I find an adventure for like a New Year's type celebration, I'll do like a one-shot next Sunday on New Year's Day in the evening, something like that, where we can all like have a merry Christmas. Except it's on New Year's. Something like that. Anyway, that's it for now. I hope everybody has a great rest of your Saturday, great rest of your evening, and hopefully see you next time for various stuff, at least next week here, or all the various stuff we talked about. So until those times, check out all my links and stuff, and farewell for now. Bye, everybody.
Bye.